This is the moment when we arrived at UK Techfest, a progressive metal festival taking place in Newark-on-Trent. I had already been to Techfest in 2013. The fields are forever in my memory. The 2013 edition invited the best progressive metal artists of the time. I was able to see my favorite bands like Monuments, Uneven Structure, Tesseract, Heart of a Coward, and many, many more. I remember the weather being so nice and the people were really friendly there. I met Simon Garrett, the organizer of the festival, and he granted me access to the press area so I could charge my batteries and transfer data there. Returning to Techfest felt as coming home. I remember the smell of grass and the sound of setting up camp.
Are we Shattered Skies? I think I've missed one Techfest. The first one that was in the Newark Showground. We missed that one.
Yeah.
I've played it 4 times and I've went without playing once.
Yeah.
Which
And
was awesome.
Our first ever gig in the UK was Techfest 2012, the first Techfest.
Yeah.
So we've been there since day one.
When I came home from filming the 2017 edition, the footage I had was not sufficient to make what I had in my mind, a worthy sequel of impressions. In January 2018 I then decided to return to the UK to find out more about the festival and its people. It was going to be the first of a couple of trips to the UK where I was going to be able to meet several people involved in the community.
I first started listening to Marilyn Manson and System of a Down.
I suppose it probably similar to everyone, kind of got into metal, like Linkin Park and Evanescence, anyone my age really.
I remember my first metal gig where I went to go see Trivium.
I started listening to Tool.
I was so excited for it, but then they had Whitechapel and Chimera supporting. I was just like, this is better.
Kind of, into metalcore, and then it kind of developed from there.
And then Sixth, Periphery, Monuments, Tesseract, all that. So that's kind of where it spurred from.
What is tech metal? I guess you could. It depends, because tech metal, progressive metal in itself is such a wide range of sounds and songs and structures and rhythms.
I think there were a few very important bands early on that inspired and influenced a lot of the big bands that we know and love today.
It's an odd one, but then it's got the kind of grooves that nu metal had some of the time. Obviously Meshuggah being the kind of backbone of the sound.
So Meshuggah, the obvious one.
Sort of metal that it doesn't use a cookie cutter. There's no cookie cutter approach.
And then when Fell Silent split, that then formed Tesseract and Monuments.
A lot of percussive metal.
It's the groove, really.
A lot happening at once, a lot of layers, and you're covering the whole frequency spectrum, because you've got vocals and keyboards and stuff all the way up here. You've got 8-string guitars and everything else all the way down here, and all this double bass.
You can sort of look around and see who does what, because you can see who the bassists, because they stare at the bassist. You can see who the guitarists are. You see who the sound engineers are, because they sit and stand in the front way just going like... and it's great. And you see people who are just vibing off the music. You can see people who are there to just have a few points with their friend.
All the kind of intricacies of like the drumming with ghost notes. You know, when you have a producer that can just add these little effects to like reverse snares and bass drops, it makes it that much more satisfying to listen to.
So, I'm Simon Garrett, I'm the organiser of TechFest. Throughout the year, I play guitar. I ride huskies on a mountain bike and I tour drive for bands for a living. Before starting TechFest, I played in local bands, and yeah, we just used to run mini festivals in my friend's back garden. We used to just call it Matt Fest every year because my drummer was called Matt.
At some point Simon started talking about making his own sort of promotion page under English Gentleman Quarters for the new sort of music that's coming up. The new sort of music that's coming out, the tech music. So
EDQ was quite a busy thing for me for the first few years. I was always travelling around interviewing bands and just searching for bands on the net and pushing that out. I think it was around the year of about 2008 or 9 I started it. I did it for about 3 years maybe. I think it was about 2 years I did it before TechFest, and then I sort of ran it up until about TechFest 2013. And off the back of running the English Gentleman Quarters page, initially decided I'd start a one-day indoor festival for the sort of prog tech gent scene, and I started a festival with the intent of making a small club show, and within 2 days we had something like 30 odd bands apply. I think we had about 650 likes on the page. There was just way more response than I expected to have in an entire year. We had it in about 2.
Panzerballett were cool. I hadn't really listened to them at all, so I didn't really know what to expect, and I kind of ended up just walking in on their set, and me and my mate were super impressed.
Just film me, man. TechFest, What is you?
How are you doing?
I would fucking love to see that on like a GIF on Instagram. Just me be like,
Okay.
with like no sound.
The first year was predominantly myself and the venue that we were working with, Alton Lounge Bar. I met Helen at the first Tech Fest and we sort of stayed in touch.
We were messaging. I was like, I just absolutely love the festival, best weekend. All my favourite bands were playing. Can I help in any way? Can I get involved?
Basically, we sort of started the conversation that she wanted to get involved in the stewarding.
And he said something about stewarding, and I was like, oh, cool, okay, I've done a lot of stewarding before, like Oxfam. I was kind of like, okay, so what have you got in place? Who's your like supervisor? Who's running it? Like asking all these questions.
And in the end, within about 5 minutes of the conversation, it was just clear she was quite organised. So it was just like, why don't you just be the head steward?
He was like, do you want to just run it for me? And I was kind of like, okay, fine, yeah, I can do this. Cool. Went along, tried to organise all these stewards. It was a bit kind of chaotic. We had no radios, so I've spent the whole kind of weekend in 2013 just running up and down in Peterborough, running from one side to the other. We didn't have nearly enough stewards, but somehow we made it work.
I'm Amanda Follett. I first started working for TechFest back on TechFest 2. Now, bearing in mind, Simon was a fan. He was a young guy who'd done this out of the love of the scene. He'd not been involved in the music industry. He just knew he loved this scene, he loved the music, and he'd taken his money and put it into this scene to be able to bring bands to people who love that music, who'd never seen these bands before.
We've been very fortunate in terms of finding the crew. Amanda is a great example of that. She got involved with the production side of things, so helping other bands in terms of logistical information, what time to arrive, where they can park, where they can go collect their food, what equipment they need to bring, what equipment we're providing, all of that sort of stuff. She just kind of fine-tuned that system and made it really organised and very professional. So taking Amanda on was definitely a huge change in the festival. It raised us to another level of production and professionalism.
When the shot keeps in, I want to see you bounce in the air with me. Get the fuck up! I can see you, so fucking bounce!
My role is very much behind the scenes, very kind of hidden in comparison to Simon's kind of he's the face of the festival.
My main job throughout the year is booking the bands. So I'm dealing with the booking agents, I'm dealing with independent bands, I'm dealing with managers. There's a hell of a lot of emails that go into that to make sure that everyone's got the information they need to get here and to make it happen. But it's constant all year round work. We don't ever stop. Do you know what I mean? It's always planning, always thinking about it. Gathering merch designs, planning the merch sales for the following event, and micromanaging teams, so making sure the sound systems we're ordering this year, they fit the band's requirements, but they also fit our budget requirements at the same time.
So we're planning now at the moment. So, for example, Helen and I will sit down and we'll work out simple things like what colour the wristbands are, but then we'll work out which rooms we're using for which bands, and what do we have in terms of facilities there, and what might have changed from the year before.
friendly. I think it's just a really welcoming vibe.
Just the unity, the love, the respect for all musicians and non-musicians.
Everybody seems to be on the same wavelength.
People don't bring their ego to it. You know, everyone's there to enjoy the same thing, to take in that atmosphere.
You know, we're growing to this size. We don't have the crime that you get at some festivals. Everybody genuinely loves each other.
It's not like a big ticket item, like if you went to a mainstream festival, people go because they're going to a festival.
Yeah.
If you go to TechFest, you're going because you like the music,
TechFest
you like
is
that
kind
scene.
of just like a big family, and because it was born from a very small venue, it's kind of kept that vibe, even though it's gotten bigger.
Like, everyone is well connected and it's decent, it's just good. And obviously the music's there, that's what we're for. But it's the vibe, it's the family, it's good.
New people to the group are always welcomed,
Yeah,
so much
definitely.
so that like you forget who's actually been there from the start and who is a newcomer. Because
It's always nice to like get new people involved in it.
But yeah, the community it's one that's very kind of like inclusive and one that's very welcoming.
So last year we have a lot of lone people come. So people who want to come, who are the only people in their friend set who want to come. And it was identified last year, so I think it was Harrison and a few set up, look, if you're on your own, we'll set up this meetup so that you can meet other people there, and they did. And there was a woman who felt really, really comfortable bringing her autistic son to the festival. And everybody rallied round and made sure that he was right and that he was comfortable and he enjoyed it. And that to me is inspiration.
Most significant moment of TechFest in the 6 years I've been was the 3 months of rain in 1 hour.
The 3 months of rain in 1 hour.
Yeah, that was
intense.
I've never seen anything like that in my fucking life. And I've been all over the world, and we were just stood there. We were having burgers at the burger thing.
Yeah.
And they was like, oh, there's a bit of rain.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
Yeah, so basically I got really drunk, standard, and
Shocking.
I know, and I went to the car when it was sunny, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to close my eyes. I passed out for a couple of hours.
3 months of rain in 1 hour!
Where the fuck did it go? That's what...
Although, to be honest, we did actually end up having to try to help the merch desk because it was slightly getting rained upon.
that was drowned.
Besides that, it was.
At least the tent wasn't.
I woke up and there was water everywhere, and I was like, that's weird. And I bumped into Ivion, and I was like, oh, so when are you playing? And he just kind of looked at me and went, oh, well, we've already played. And I was like, oh, I passed out for like the whole set and the rain and everything. Yeah.
It happens.
It happens.
That's pretty bad, mate. Yeah, it is, but my No, there's no water that's got into the actual compartment.
Oh, fuck it then, we'll sleep good tonight. Yeah, we'll sleep like Spartans, man.
guys, that was Anime Structure. Well, we just witnessed a bit of our set back in TechFest 2017. We've been playing there a couple of times. I've been playing there with other bands. The guys have been there a few times already. But this festival grew into something huge. Others.
In 5 years' time, I'll actually be there again. Quite something.
Yeah. Simon is one beast of a man, and all of their guys surrounding the team, Amanda, Ellen, all of these guys working there are such a lovely experience, such a lovely attitude, and that's so much fun playing there each and every time, and looking forward to the next.
I had an appointment with Joel, who I first met at TechFest 2013. We had a nice walk in a cozy park nearby his home. As a long-time visitor and music artist, he was happy to share his impressions of the festival to me.
My name's Joel. I run my own band called Fractions with a K, and I teach piano to lots of different students as my kind of main day-to-day job. We had the pleasure of playing TechFest in 2017. In terms of like how the band experience was, just in sound check, there was a moment when my drummer Ross, he just played a little and he was like, oh my days. Yeah, I like the amount of space that people can camp, and there's sort of an artist side of camping and a fan side, but the lines between those have sort of been blurred and everyone's friendly. Yeah, it's great. It means it reflects the kind of solidarity and the amount of musicians that are in the scene. I have met some of my favourite musicians. It's really cool. You don't really get that, as far as I'm aware, at any other festival where bands and fans camp basically together.
Hi, I'm Chris Surgenor from Chris Surgenor Audio. I'm lucky enough to be doing the sound for all of this film. I first got involved in TechFest through a friend called Flick. She knew Simon, and she was helping me do a bit of PR when I was launching a music website. And so she put me in touch with Simon, said about recording the festival. Hadn't heard of it, went along. It was incredible, yeah. 2018 TechFest, I brought this studio here, stuck it in a van and sat there for the 5 days. So I had a feed running off both stages, and then I multi-tracked it through the door and ran a live mix using plugins. Yeah, so that was a much better way of doing a live monitor mix, as they could really hear what everyone was doing. It was brilliant. Before I'd gone to TechFest, I'd never had my head blown by a recording, as it happened, and yeah, the first sort of few bands that kicked in, and it was like, wow.
I'm Yaka, and I'm playing a band called Acacia Strain, and we've played TechFest a few times. It's always been mental. Like when we first came there, like we were like sort of very unfamiliar with the tech scene and that, and not a lot of people knew about us and that. And we came back and we played the second stage, and we headlined, which I thought was absolutely nuts, because like I said, the first time we went there, it was like we were very unknown, and you know, no one really knew of us. So to go back and like be headlining the second stage was just unreal. And then the third time we came back was when we played the main stage in 2017. I believe it was, and it was Non-Flame were headlining, and we were like a couple of bands down from the bill on that. For me, like Techfest, like is like, you know, I've seen sort of my band's sort of career grow, like, you know, and it's a very humbling thing, like I say, you know, it's always been good to us, you know, like I say, I've got to meet a lot of people through Techfest, and like I say, it's got me to, you know, where I am now, and you know, I am forever grateful for that.
Schmoes. Schmoes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, incredible.
I talk about Mr. Schmoo.
Yeah, well, my love affair with pizza has always been there, but yeah, good pizza at festivals, very different. But I think since meeting Dave, or Schmoo as he's known, I think that's my highlight of any meal. Because at least I can have a conversation with the dudes as well, so it's, as well as having pretty banging pizza, especially for the price. And I think when you get to the level where he gives you his business card so you can deliver pizza to your tent, you know you're in a good place. So yeah, always going to go back for that.
Medicina y encontrado el camino dentro, y encontrado el camino dentro, van a casa, van a casa.
My name is Schmoo from Schmoo's Wood-Fired Pizza. You will know me from doing the pizzas at UK Tech Fest. So I got involved in Tech Fest by basically finding Tech Fest for myself and then getting in contact with the guys, only to find out that they were happy for me to come and do the pizzas. Since then, I've never looked back. I feel like I am a part of the family, Techfest family, and long may it continue. Favourite part of Techfest is enjoying the music and also seeing all the guys year after year and meeting up and catching up with all these people that we do keep in contact on Facebook, but you don't really get to meet them again until the following year, until we're back at Techfest, and it's like the families come back together and you know you have a good catch up, and that's what I really enjoy is the people, really.
In one of my trips to the UK, I met up with Sander, an old Belgian friend. He is living and working in London. He offered me a place to stay at his apartment for the night. The following day I was going to attend one of the tech habilitation events in London.
So we played Techfest 2018 on the Thursday and it was hot. It was 40 degrees on stage, but we had the best time. Yeah, we've been coming for a number of years, so we were punters before we were ever on the bill, and it was a bit of a goal of ours, to be honest, to play, and pretty surreal actually on the day. It was kind of strange.
It was a really good day, really good weekend, as I'm sure you can imagine. Loads of great bands, loads of great friends there. It was just a fantastic experience, and you know, Simon has done so much for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you've never been, highly recommend going.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Kirsten and I'm Artist Liaison for UK Tech Metal Fest. Got a call from the one Simon Garrett saying, oh, he needed a bit of help. We just happened to be coming along with our bands that were on tour, we're playing Tech Fest, so, and here I am 6 years later.
Let's carry on this heart of the cow tradition. Put the arm around the person to your left, arm around the person to your right. Doesn't matter if you know them, make some new friends. When this riff kicks in, I want to see a synchronized headbang.
Free hot showers, there's so many food options now compared to what there used to be. You know, you've got all the sort of basic comforts you'd expect from getting an Airbnb or an apartment somewhere, just you're in a field.
Yeah. I used to have like some proper toilets, like you go to some festivals, it's like disgusting, like Portaloo, stuff like that.
Facilities, like you can have a shower at a festival, who gets to do that?
To have proper showers, it's so handy. After sweating it off in the pit or whatever, and then yeah, just you can go and have a nice shower, and then yeah, with food you got the shisha tent now. That's really cool. How the campsite is great. It's not too far from anything. You're not trekking for 20 minutes through the mud or anything like that. Yeah, everything's really well priced.
I will just say the fact that the actual venue where the bands are playing is like 2-minute walk.
That's brilliant.
I mean, if you're camped right at the back, if you're really unsociable and don't want to be with anyone else, you might have to struggle with a 5-minute walk at most. But yeah, nice.
Crawling up my spine! Broken, violent blindness, like it takes the cloud, ashes down, me down. Why can't this all just be over?
There's lots of other heads of teams. So Joe is the head of main stage. I met him. He was my local sound man in Cambridge, just down the road. You know, whenever my band was playing the local venue, he'd be our sound guy. He was the best guy around, so we always called him. And yeah, I think when I started the festival, I think he maybe just got in touch and said, you know, I do like a sound system company. I do main events as well. So yeah, he's been with us since the start. He's in charge of all the sound. So the second year, where we moved to Peterborough, we had 2 stages. Ollie and his crew, Ohm's crew, took over the second stage.
My name's Mez. I work for Bloodstock, the big UK metal festival. So I've been working as a freelance engineer for, I don't know, 12, 13 years now. Started a little company called Ohm Sound Services. So we were the venue tech staff basically, and we were had really nice little venue. Our philosophy was, just because it was a small venue, there's no reason that it has to sound really bad and look really shit. And then we got into doing UK Tech Fest because Ollie knew Simon and worked for him for the first year of Tech Fest, 2012. And then I came on in 2013 at Peterborough. It was a fun one, for sure. And yeah, ever since then we've been doing second stage at Tech Fest.
Liam, I believe I first met when he was attending with Carter City in 2015. He was their in-house sound guy. Yeah, everyone got on really well with him, and I think Amanda approached him there and then to head the third stage and take care of that. We needed someone to fill the boots. Liam stepped up, and he's been head of third stage ever since.
I'm Liam. I work on third stage at TechFest. Got asked to do sound for Castle City at first, and then also started getting involved on third stage because they needed someone to run it basically, and the rest, as they say, is history. I've been working there for 4 years now and killing it every year. My day-to-day activity is basically making sure that bands have what they need on the third stage so they can perform, and keeping to the times, making sure all the bands load in on time, get sound checked on time, and then hopefully all is smooth sailing all the way through the after parties.
So the workshops is something we run throughout the day. Now that is the only clash that we have at the festival, so main and second stage alternate without any clashes whatsoever over the weekend. On the third stage, during the day when bands are playing in the main arena, we have dedicated workshops, guitar lessons, industry insights. You know, you've got managers coming to talk about, you know, getting your bands on tour. You've got PRs coming to tell you how to get into magazines. You've got bands coming to show you how to play drums in some mad time signature, or guitarists telling you how to shred all over the fretboard. I suppose we wanted to create a vibe that was like an educational platform for the festival, because it's an incredibly intelligent community. Everyone there is, the majority of fans there are really intelligent, you know, talented musicians. So, you know, creating that atmosphere where these sort of people can bounce ideas off of each other and sort of learn from each other is just something we've always wanted to promote and encourage. So eventually over the years, Helen took on many roles. She got incredibly busy and could no longer run the stewarding anymore. At this point we recruited a steward, Nick Ward, who proved himself time and time again stewarding.
Hi, I'm Nick, I'm head of stewards. I've been going to festivals since 2015, and quite a lot of people tend to see me running around like a lunatic wearing a yellow vest and a radio, so yeah, started to get recognised a little bit every now and again.
He was a very committed person. He worked more hours than he needed to do. He thoroughly enjoyed just getting involved and helping, you know, the festival, and, you know, he saved the day many times.
Tech Fest for me never stops, like, throughout the year. So it's really funny actually. I see a lot of people after the event and they're like, oh, are you having a good break? How's it going? Like, it must be a relief that Tech Fest is over. And I kind of laugh and just say, well, no, not really. Like, I've got all the post-festival work to do, which is like making sure all the suppliers are paid, everyone's paid up, everything's all like sort of accounted for, and tied up and tied together. And as soon as I kind of wrap that up together, sign it off and everything, we're into next year of planning, and that's kind of like making sure sort of when we're like planning on when the tickets are going to go on sale. So speaking to Simon about like what kind of bands he's got in mind for the next year's festival, starting conversations with people who we want to bring back for next year, supplier wise, so like transport companies, security companies, first aid companies and stuff, just making sure they've got the dates in the diary, talking to the venue and saying, like, doing a post kind of briefing and just reflecting on what went well, what we need to change, what we want to introduce for next year, like if we need more people cleaning, if we need a different system of things, if there's some stuff that the venue didn't sort of deliver on, where areas they need to improve on. So there's lots of conversations that need to happen really early on, and that's kind of like September, October time, so that's only like a month and a bit after the festival. Yeah, so it's pretty full on.
For more people to come, I think diversifying will be key, and it's going well. As you say, it's growing each year. We've seen it grow every time we've gone, and that comes from putting different bands on. It'd be good to bring some others back.
Something for everyone. If you don't like one band, you're gonna like at least 5 others. You know, it's I love the variety in it.
But like, I think as long as we include everyone, sort of celebrate the genre as a whole, that's kind of what our aim is.
I walk down the silent tide. As rushing through our water, there's nothing but dragging up on your back. The sands, your head, the taste of hand. Body after body. It's just a human right. We're born in the
It's a massive challenge. There's always obstacles, like different hurdles you have to jump through and different things you have to book or different forms you have to submit. There's always someone who will need you to do something in addition to everything else you're doing. So obstacles are they always crop up when you least expect it, but it's how you deal with them. Like the weather was one that hit us in 2017. That was kind of scary, and having to go into a meeting to kind of discuss the emergency planning procedures of what would happen if the showground got flooded, what would we put in place, and having that responsibility as an event organiser, and taking measures to make sure our festival goers are safe. Even down to sort of the first aid, I make decisions on what cover we're going to have, when the ambulances will be there, and to make sure we're not a strain on the local resources and the local facilities in Newark, because that's very important, bringing all these people to Newark, and we need to make sure they're safe and they're going to have a great time.
Now it's a trickling wave of lyrics noise.
Simon's got his merch game on point.
He has.
I did merch one time just to help out. I took a maybe 3-hour slot. I was like, what do you want? I'll have one of these, and you go, what size?
Yeah, the merch bundles as well.
Yeah.
Good.
It's, it's about a good 10, 12 metres of table.
I've never seen merch like it at any,
No.
other than arena gigs.
Yeah.
You don't see that much merch anywhere, but, it obviously sells. So,
It's great. And it's good variety too.
Yeah.
Booty shorts.
That was the
That-
infamous, shortage.
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 Where they sold out when they first brought them in. They sold out within the first
Very quick,
day.
yeah. It was,
and so many guys bought the shorts. It was ridiculous, and all those girls had to lose out. You didn't buy any.
My name is Wai Fong, and a good friend of Simon's. I've been supporting here and there ever since English Gentlemen's Quarters to TechFest days, and and then now I come and do my best to help out with the merch side of things.
Yeah.
Merch game is strong. Yeah, the merch game is really freaking strong, and the crowd is just so nice. Everyone wants to represent TechFest, and everyone wants to support the scene.
TechFest merch is brilliant. It's such a key kind of part of the festival because it's the uniform. I'm always in a TechFest hoodie or wearing something like a TechFest t-shirt, and people are always just what's this TechFest that you keep on wearing? I went on holiday and there was one point that I was wearing the hoodie, the shorts and the beanie, and people were just what are you doing? What is this? And I was just oh, sorry, this is my festival. Yeah, I'm always wearing the merch.
Hi, I'm Rania Bailey.
My role in TechFest is I run the merchandise store with my family. Another thing, whilst working TechFest is watching the variety of merch that we have grow and grow and grow.
The TechFest merch tables, Simon, I don't know, takes up all the room with his tables, but it's a massive spread and it's brilliant to see. Outside of the festival, it actually lives in my house, which is great. It takes up a lot of room in my house, a lot of boxes. But I run the merch store all year round.
We want to make it bigger, but you need more ticket sales to make it as big as we'd really like it.
It's got the space to expand, which is nice.
Because each year that it's been at the Newark Showground, it's grown a little bit bigger.
To this point, it's held the test and it's gotten bigger. There are more people, more new people, but the vibe stayed the same.
Even though it has grown over the years, it still feels homely.
In a way, I hope it doesn't become too big, because I want it to maintain the atmosphere.
Bigger, better, if it can actually get better, because it's already fucking amazing.
Maybe in a couple of years, I think 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe something like that, we could sort of go to another level. We've already sort of done it 3 times, from the first venue to the second venue to where we are now. I think we'll stay at the Newark Showground, but I think we've got a lot of options there. If we do get to the point where we sort of can expand it a little bit. We definitely don't want to go too far with that. We are really keen to sort of keep the family vibe as number one. So long as as long as it's still fun, so long as it's still easy to manage, as long as it's all centered around musicianship and good vibes, then it will always be TechFest.
We are the best camping festival in the world.
No, well, for prog and tech metal.
Yeah,
Prog and
I think
tech
it's
and metal.
And metal. With the best, obviously. But
it's interesting
biggest.
as a festival. It's really it's interesting to see the market of festivals and see different festivals cropping up. Like there's a lot of ones like Big Prog in Spain, Euroblast in Germany, and Complexity Fest in the Netherlands, which are
Dissonance Festival in Italy.
Dissonance Festival in Italy. Yeah, like big festivals, but none of them have got like that kind of camping atmosphere, which I think is part of the magic of TechFest and part of something that makes it really special, because you've got that. You don't leave the site, and you don't have to go back to your hostel or whatever. You're still there, and you can still continue the music and the enjoyment, or go to the shisha tent or whatever, and just continue that, and it gives it something a bit more special, and it's unique.
The campsite makes it a festival for me, like having everyone being able to party and actually interact with each other after the music. It builds that bond far stronger than just everyone going their separate ways. I find there's a lot of festivals without camping, but to me that's just a long gig. The camping element to me is what defines it as a festival, the open airness of it. That's key for me.
We have Will, and Will is a magician, and he's a really, really great magician.
Like bending spoons, kind of insane.
He is really insane, and it blows our artists' minds.
So I'm Will. I am one of the production crew. Runner / jack of all trades, master of not very many of them.
This one is one I haven't done in a while, so I'm gonna try it. So it kind of goes a bit like that, and that happens. And I'm gonna need someone's hands for this in a second, but you can kind of bend it a bit the same way that you do the spoon as well.
So each of the headline artists will come in as a magician and do an act for them in their dressing room. And I remember when Betraying the Martyrs had it, one of the guys had the spoon and he was just walking around the festival shaking his head like, I don't know, how's this happened?
There is no spoon.
It was just crazy. And it completely blows their mind. So that's one thing that headline artists will get at TechFest is a magic show, which you probably don't get at many festivals.
Will, you're a wizard.
Protest the Hero came and played, which are one of my favourite bands, which was amazing anyway. I was so excited that Protest the Hero, one of my favourite bands, was at my festival. It was just I got a bit giddy over it. But what I didn't know that my now fiance was planning with Protest the Hero and planning with the crew to propose to me on stage during the Protest the Hero set.
Now, Banda, something happening here, babe. Something pretty cool happening right now. I'm here, you're here, someone else might be here. Who else is here, Mr. Wolf? What's... Oh my goodness. What up?
Okay, here goes. Since we got together 2 years ago, you made my life complete. You turned my life upside down. We spent so many good times together already. Traveled the world, hand in hand. I want to share them emotions and moments with you. I want to be there holding your hands whilst you're wearing this ring. Amanda Follett, will you marry me?
It was a bit of a surprise, and I think there was a number of reasons it was my favourite moment. I was on stage with one of my favourite bands and the proposition, but actually when I came off stage, Helen and the crew had arranged to do all the work. I didn't need to do anything. And that for me was the biggest shock and the biggest moment, that all these people had organised all of this behind my back. And believe me, I run things like so tightly, like a military mission, that I know exactly what's going on. And they said it was really hard to hide it from me. And coming out and being in this dream world and everything had been organised and there was champagne waiting for me and things was really an amazing, amazing moment. I never expected it at all. My fiancé wasn't even at the festival. He was meant to be working. So they really, really did do it well.
You can sail the shadows, just down through the night. Now all the leaves are fallen, sitting on a bed.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
and you just, I mean, the only thing it gets you through is just like, I guess, the new friends you've made and you start chatting to, and you're like,
That's it.
yeah.
Sometimes I want to wrap myself up in my bed and cry for a week, especially having to go back to work so soon afterwards. I think it hits a lot later every year that passes. You think, oh, it'll be fine, it'll come round again, and then a couple of weeks later you just want to, take me back, please, just take me back.
Shared, everyone hates it, so you can just share in that. I don't know, I listen to a lot of the bands, like the new bands I've heard, and just remind myself of TechFest. I know that it's coming again.
You look at all your merch that you bought, and stroking that, crying on your bed for a while, until it goes.
Pure sadness and depression, and I wanted to go back, and I didn't want to go back to work in the real world. I want to stay at the showground forever. Yeah, that's about it.
I know.
It's always that little bit. I think you get that with any good gig, and TechFest is definitely a good example of that. That moment when you're coming to the end of the last song and you're like, oh, I could do this for another while, you know.
Yeah. But there's something to be said, being in a field with just a bunch of people who are just invested in having a sick time.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you don't do that in your living room. You have a great time in your living room.
Chris, we do it in your living room all the time.
All of my best experiences have been in a field.
I thought you were going to say in Chris's living room.
Oh, well.
So I would think it's probably slightly more intense than it is for the audience because of the level of adrenaline that we're running at. To be able to do all those hours every day together, supporting one another, when that flies at the end, and then you come down off that peak, that's a real crash. So, but then we just get back on that horse and we start planning for next year.
Was on it, and if my eyes were closed, it's fine. It's all from my eyes. Oh my, it's
So one of the cool things we do at TechFest is, it's a good group of people. We have a great sense of community going on. There's a lot of friends that have a lot of friendships that have been built at TechFest over the years. And we like to celebrate that and enjoy that. So we've got these after parties that go on every day, every night of the week, including this kind of quasi-unofficial one that I help to kind of keep the energy going for on a Sunday. And also one of the great things is if you've never been to TechFest before, we have a newbie camp each year. Again, it's kind of this unofficial thing, but we like to invite those people who haven't been to TechFest before and make sure that they feel at home and develop those friendships and just have a great time as soon as possible. So each year you usually see me or someone else kind of sitting around with a newbie flag, and you can come and join us if you're traveling on your own or if you've never been, and you can have a great time from like the first day straight away. So we love that. We really take pride in the fact that we're not just about the music. We're very much about the music, but we're also about making sure everyone has a great time, build those kind of lasting friendships, and yeah, it's very memorable for that. So come to TechFest if you want to have a good time.
Thank you guys, much love, I'll see you next year, cheers.